المشركين.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه ومن اهتدى بهديه واستنى بسنته إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to our second part of the topic gentleness and kindness. This is the program, Our Values, which we tend to tackle one of Islam's noble values. There are so many, and Muslims are neglectful of. Yesterday we talked about kindness and gentleness. This is something that the Prophet ﷺ instructed us with, and he prohibited us from falling in the opposite. This story we always repeat because it is filled with benefits and lessons to learn, where the Jews used to come to the Prophet ﷺ and pretend to greet him with the greeting of Islam, Assalamu alaikum. However, they manipulate the wordings, they play around with it, and instead of saying Assalam, they say Assam, which means death. So instead of saying peace be upon you, they say death be upon you, but they try to play around with words, thinking that the Prophet doesn't notice this, alayhi salatu wassalam. And the Prophet neglects it, looks the other way, and says, wa alaykum, meaning upon you. And he doesn't say wa alaykum salam. He doesn't say, and upon you is salam, is peace. No, he just says wa alaykum. So once Mother Aisha could not hold back, and she cursed them while they were listening because of what they had said, and she said, death be upon you and the curse of Allah. The Prophet ﷺ told her, stop, Aisha. Allah Azza wa Jal loves kindness. The Prophet ﷺ wordings were, take it easy, Aisha. You have to be kind and gentle, and you must not be harsh or use obscenity. So the Prophet ordered her ﷺ with kindness and gentleness, and he prohibited her from using obscenity or being harsh. And gentleness and kindness is an adornment to anything that it is found in. The Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, anything that has kindness in it, it is adorned by it. And if it is not taken away from a thing, but it makes it defective. So anything that has kindness, it adorns it. And if kindness were to be taken out of something, this makes it as a defective. And it goes without saying that kindness is all good and brings fortune. The Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, whoever is deprived from kindness, he is deprived from all of goodness. So this is extremely important to analyze our own selves. Are we kind? Or is it just that we have long beards, short thobes, we pray in the masjid, and we think that we look into your own self, whether you are kind or harsh, because the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, he would be deprived from all goodness. And this is obvious, we can see this. Those who deal violently, they use harshness with others and with themselves, they are deprived from goodness. People avoid them. And usually those who are on the opposite, who are kind-hearted, who are gentle with others, they get a lot of goodness in their lives. The Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, when Allah intends well of a household, Allah introduces kindness and gentleness to them. So it's a sign that Allah loves a family, loves a household, when you find that they are kind among one another. And it is a sign that a person is blessed by Allah Azza wa Jal. The Prophet says, alayhi salatu, deliberation is from Allah and haste is from the shaitan. Deliberation, when you take things easy, then you should know that you are blessed by Allah Azza wa Jal. A companion by the name of Ashaj Abdul Qais, he came with his tribe to give the Pledge of Allegiance to the Prophet ﷺ in Medina. So they traveled all the way. Once they settled and they set up their camp, they went immediately to the Prophet ﷺ except Ashaj Abdul Qais. So they went and gave the Pledge of Allegiance, and the Prophet said, ﷺ, are you missing anyone? And they looked around and said, yes, only Ashaj Abdul Qais. He stayed behind. Why? Ashaj took a shower, took a bath, wore his clean clothes, combed his hair, put perfume, and went to meet the Prophet ﷺ. He was not haste like his companions who came with their traveling garments and maybe smelling dusty and not taken good care of. When the Prophet saw him ﷺ coming late but in a very presentable way, the Prophet said ﷺ said to him, you possess two qualities that Allah loves, forbearance and deliberation. This is a kind of characteristic that Allah loves. So one may ask, what are the fields that we are supposed to be kind in? First of all, you must be kind and gentle with your own self. One says, how is that? Should I take a bath like 5 times a day, apply perfumes and body moistures, and what do you mean? Akhi, to be kind and gentle with yourself is to take it easy. We find nowadays that there are people who go to extreme. And I talk about the extreme that is judged by Quran and Sunnah, not by liberals and secularists who dominate the media nowadays in the Muslim world. No, these guys are hypocrites. We don't consider them to represent or to be part of Islam. Those who attack Islam and the infrastructure of Islam, we don't mean this. We're talking about those who address the issue of extremism according to the Quran and Sunnah. When people are harsh to themselves and they take it out of the norm, this has severe negative consequences on yourself and on the community. This is why we have Al-Khawarij, who went overboard. Though they pray a lot more than we pray, though they fast, though they recite the Quran 24/7, yet this did not help them or benefited them. It did not benefit them. It took them astray. It diverted them from the path of Allah Azza wa Jal. And Islam is a religion of simplicity, of nature. You should not bore yourself to death against what Allah had ordered you. Allah says in the Quran, Allah does not charge a soul except with that within its capacity. Allah doesn't want you to kill yourself. Allah says, and do not kill yourselves or one another. Indeed, Allah is to you ever merciful. So, going into extreme against your nature is un-Islamic. Some religions, you're not allowed to get married if you are a righteous and practicing person, if you're a monk, if you're a priest. This goes against nature. Other religions, it tells you get married to 19 or 20 women at the same time. This is against nature and it's against Islam. Some Muslims may pray the whole night or finish the Quran in one night, and the Prophet prohibited this, alayhi salam. Some people may fast and never break their fast for their entire life, and the Prophet prohibited that also, alayhi salatu salam. Some people would go out in what they call Dawah for 40 days, leaving their children, their wife, their families unattended, and they claim that they're doing a sunnah and this is an innovation. So this is extreme. You have to be gentle with yourself and follow the way of the Prophet ﷺ and his companions, may Allah be pleased with them. The Prophet once went to the Masjid ﷺ and saw that there was a rope hanging from or dangling from the roof, and he said, what is this? And they told him that this is for Zainab bin Jahsh, and that is your wife, and she prays, and whenever she feels so tired she cannot stand up, she hangs to the rope and pull herself up. The Prophet said, untie it. This is wrong. Untie the rope. One of you should pray as long as he's fit. If you're sleepy or tired, sleep. This is not part of the sunnah to bring so much burden to yourself. And Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her, says that the Prophet ﷺ came into my house and saw a woman, and he said, who's this? So I praised her and said, she's a woman who prays and does not ever sleep. And the Prophet ﷺ did not like this and said, you have to take what you can. Do not obligate upon yourself what you cannot bear. Also, among the fields where we have to be merciful and kind, we have to be gentle, is when we deal with our spouses. Specifically when we deal with women. The Prophet ﷺ said, and live with them in kindness. For if you dislike them, perhaps you dislike a thing, and Allah makes therein much good. This is addressing the men. You have to live with women in kindness. What kind of kindness? Verbal and also by action. You have to be kind. You have to refrain from harming women. The Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, treat women kindly. For a woman was created from the bent rib, and the most crooked part of the rib is the top part. If you go to correct it and straighten it up, you will break it, and if you leave it, you will enjoy it while being crooked. So treat women kindly. Beautiful hadith, but who is there to listen? The Prophet is telling us, alayhi salatu wasalam, us men, that women are not like us. They think differently, and they may behave differently, and if we try to straighten them up according to the way we think, this would break them, and breaking them is to divorce them. And if we leave them as they are, we will enjoy them, but with a slight crookedness. And this means, and this tells us that if this crookedness is in something worldly, in the way she talks, in the way she behaves, then you should let it be. But if it comes to things that Allah does not approve of, such as sins, or she is abandoning mandatory acts, she's not abiding by the hijab, she doesn't pray, if this is the case, then you cannot tolerate this. This has to be stopped, and it has to come to a stop. if you look at the way of the Prophet ﷺ and how he treated his wives, it would require like 6 or 7 episodes just to talk about examples without going into details. The Prophet ﷺ used to tolerate his wives even when they raised their voices. It was narrated that Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, wanted to visit his daughter and the Prophet ﷺ. His daughter is Aisha. So as he approached and entered the house, he found Aisha talking to the Prophet ﷺ while raising her voice. And Abu Bakr was outraged. He said, "O you, the daughter of Ruman," her mother's name is Ruman. "O you, the daughter of Ruman," and he cursed her and he swore against her. "You raise your voice in the presence of the Prophet ﷺ?" He is her husband, but so he wanted to come and beat her up, and the Prophet ﷺ intervened and he separated them. And he calmed him down. He said, "Abu Bakr, take it easy." And Abu Bakr left angrily. He was angered by his daughter's behavior. And a few hours later, he came back again. But this time, he found them laughing and joking. So he said, "As you have involved me in your war, you must involve me in your peace as well. So let me laugh and be happy with you as well." And this indicates that the Prophet ﷺ was not a harsh man, would not use violence, and that he was so gentle and kind that all of his wives loved him so much and dearly. Not only that, all of his followers love him more than they love anything in this life. Part of being kind and gentle is to be kind and gentle to the children. And we have an issue in that, because not all Muslims love their children unconditionally. And sometimes they overdo it in expressing their love, and most of the times they don't express their love at all. The Prophet ﷺ so many times said, "He is not from among us who does not have mercy on our youngsters and respect our elders." This is your duty, to have mercy and kindness to those who are young, those who are older than you. The children, whenever they were born, they used to bring them to the Prophet ﷺ. He would make dua for them. He would do tahniq, which is putting a very tiny small piece of chewed date in the ceiling of their throats. And this is the first thing that they taste, even before the milk of their mothers. And sometimes the child would urinate on the Prophet ﷺ. And the Prophet ﷺ would not reproach the mother of the child. He would not speak about this. It's an easy thing. He would just sprinkle water on his clothes and no harm was done. Compare this to how we treat our children, or the children of our in-laws, or our relatives, or those on the street. We do not have this compassion. We do not have this love. And this is why children may grow up hating everyone. We have to be really careful, because the more love you give, the more love you get in return. Being kind is also mandatory with the elders. As mentioned in the hadith, he is not from among us who does not respect the elders. And on the top of the list is respecting your parents. Allah Azza wa Jal says in the Quran, "And your Lord has decreed that you do not worship except Him, and to parents good treatment." whether one or both of them reach old age while with you, say not to them so much as uff, and do not repel them, but speak to them a noble word, and lower to them the wing of humility out of mercy, and say, my Lord, have mercy upon them, as they brought me up when I was small. So in order for us to be really good Muslims, because we're not dutiful to our parents if we treat them otherwise, in order for us to be true good Muslims, we have to be respectful, dutiful, and obedient to our parents. The way we see folks nowadays deal with their parents, sometimes you see people who are over their 60s and they treat their parents who are in their, and when you talk to them, you say, yeah, they don't know what to do. We know what's best for them. And this is really hurting. It's hard, and one must avoid such way. Among the fields of da'wah, of being kind, is the great field of da'wah. You have to use gentleness and kindness. Allah says in the Quran, invite to the way of your Lord with wisdom and good instruction, and argue with them in a way that is best. Indeed, your Lord is most knowing of who has strayed from his way, and he is most knowing of who is rightly guided. What does that mean? Hearts are inclined to those who are kind to them. When you use harshness in your da'wah, when you show people that you are in your ivory tower and they're far down below you, I know better than what you know, you're an imbecile, you're ignorant, no one will accept this from you. You have to be kind, you have to be tolerant. Allah Azza wa Jal, when he sent Moses and Aaron, when he sent them to Pharaoh, who claimed to be God, what did Allah say? Allah said to them, go both of you to Pharaoh. Indeed, he has transgressed. And speak to him with gentle speech, that perhaps he may be reminded or fear Allah. Subhanallah. Talking to Pharaoh in a gentle speech? Yes, because this is da'wah, and this is the way you should do it. We have to be kind. Now, I have to explain more when it comes to da'wah and how to be kind, but this is not the right platform because the time is quite limited. But you can think of millions of ways of how you are acting against Allah's instruction when you give da'wah in a harsh way, just because you're impulsive or you're angered by something or you're agitated. This is not an excuse. You have to follow the rules of the Quran and Sunnah when calling people in kindness and gentleness. You have to also be kind with your servants, with the laborers. The Prophet ﷺ used to be so kind to his servants to the extent that Anas said, I accompanied the Prophet ﷺ for 10 whole years. Never ever he said, uff, complaining. And never ever he said to something I had done, why did you do this? Or to something I did not do, had you done this and this? So the Prophet would not ﷺ interrogate, investigate. He would show his kindness through forgiveness. And this is what he said to the man who asked him, how many times should we forgive our slaves or our servants when they make mistakes? The Prophet said, 70 times per day. Which means that so much. I wouldn't even ask the servant to do 7 things per day, let alone forgive him 70 times a day. We have to also be kind to animals. So many times we see be kind to animals, and there are committees and organizations for animal rights. We are deserving human rights. Look what's happening to the Palestinians, who are surrounded in few miles, squared miles. the biggest jail on earth. What does the Prophet say, alayhi salatu wasalam? The Prophet says, fear Allah in these animals that cannot speak. Ride them when they are fit and eat them when they are suitable. And the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam is telling this to a man who made his camel so hungry and made it work over its capacity. What would the Prophet say alayhi salam when he sees our brothers and sisters in Gaza and elsewhere being surrounded by the Jews, not allowed to treat their patients, not allowed to eat, not allowed to consume, not allowed to even breathe the air, and they are not allowed to travel to get treatment, and they bombard them with all kinds of artillery, not allowing them to have arms to defend themselves? Where is your human rights? And now all what you care about is don't slaughter sheep in Eid. Human rights, animal rights. You want to be kind to animal? Like a bumper sticker they had in the 70s. Be kind to animals. Kiss a shark. Muslims must be kind first of all to humans, but it is part of religion also to be kind with animals. The Prophet ﷺ was the kindest man ever to walk the earth. And his religion is our religion. And we cannot be true practicing Muslims if we do not follow his footsteps all the way. We cannot be selective. Allah Azza wa Jal says in the Quran, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu dukhulu fi silmi kafa. Embrace and enter in Islam wholeheartedly, in all of it, and not be selective in the things you like and leave the things you do not like. Therefore, we should reflect more and more whether we have this element of kindness and gentleness in our lives with all those whom we are dealing with and with ourselves or not. We have a short break. Stay tuned, and inshallah we'll be right back. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back. This is the time for your questions and answers. If you're watching this live and have a question, feel free to call. But if you're watching the rerun, don't even bother. Aisha says, can you please explain the procedure of paying zakat on cash? First of all, I think we have a caller. Abu Ma'ruf.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu wa barakatuh.
Sheikh, in the last ayah of the Surah Al-Baqarah from La yukallifu Allahu nafsan wusaha illa wusaha. But then in the end, Anta Maulana fansurna ala al-qawmi al-kafirin. So this Maulana mentioned in this Baqarah, in this ayah, is addressed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So then why the people in themselves call Maulana so and so, Hafiz, Mufti, Fulana, Fulana, Fulana? So I just don't understand. Is it applicable for the men also to say Maulana?
Any more questions?
Yeah. The second question is, 5 brothers, 1 sister, they have their father's property. Father died. Then among the 5 brothers, 3 brothers were living in the property and make up and down, sold everything out. 2 first brothers and sister didn't get anything, a penny. I mean, like peanuts, though it's millions of dollars property worth. So who would be paying the, their siblings when they have swallowed the money, everything?
Okay. Any more questions?
That's all. Thank you.
You're welcome. So let us address Abu Ma'ruf's question first. Allah Azza wa Jal described himself at the end of Surah Al-Baqarah, أَنْتَ مَوْلَانَا فَانْصُرْنَا عَلَى الْقَوْمِ الْكَافِرِينَ, that you are our supporter. So the word Mawla comes as a supporter. It also comes as someone who is in alliance with. It comes also to describe someone who has been freed after being a slave. Like in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ to Zayd ibn Haritha, if I'm not mistaken, when he came once, we know that Zayd ibn Haritha was the adopted son of the Prophet ﷺ before adoption was banned. So he was a slave given to Mother Khadija by her nephew Hakim ibn Hizam. And she gave this slave as a gift to the Prophet ﷺ, who loved him dearly. He freed him, and then he said that this is the son of Muhammad. His name was Zayd ibn Muhammad. Until in chapter 33, Surah Al-Ahzab, Allah banned adoption. You can sponsor and support an orphan, but you cannot adopt him or her, calling him after you, giving him your name, or sharing the inheritance with your offspring. This is prohibited. So whenever the Prophet used to see Zayd ibn Haritha, he used to say that he is our Maulana, meaning the freed slave, and he's close to me. And also the Prophet said ﷺ about Ali ibn Abi Talib, Man kuntu mawlah fa aliyun mawlah. Whomever I am his mawla, his supporter, his ally, then Ali is his supporter and ally as well. And this is to show the Muslims the great place of Ali. May Allah be pleased with him. So using the word Mawlana has nothing to do with Aqeedah, in the sense that I'm using one of Allah's names with the humans. No, this is permissible because this terminology or this word or this description is shared, and there is nothing wrong with it, inshallah. His second question about 5 brothers and a sister, 6 siblings, 3 of them who used to live in the mansion or in the house sold the properties of their fathers and sold everything that their father left behind, and deprived their other 3 siblings from their right in inheritance. So he's asking, who's responsible for giving them their right? Abu Ma'ruf, how would I know? This is a legal issue. If 3 of the siblings sold something that was not theirs, the other 3 siblings should go to the Muslim court, or if there is no Muslim court, they should go to the civil court and complain with evidence that they have taken unlawfully their right. And the law should give them their share and should punish those who in inheritance. This is in this life. As for the hereafter, Allah will prepare for them a torment and a punishment in hellfire for taking what Allah prohibited them from taking. These inheritance, the division of inheritance, was not done by anyone other than Allah. It is Allah Azza wa Jal who revealed this division, and anyone who goes against it is going against Allah and will be paying for that. So Aisha's questions: how do we distribute the procedure of paying zakat on cash? First of all, cash is estimated with the value of the threshold of silver, which is 595 grams of silver. Check online the cost of the gram of silver multiplied by 595, and this is the threshold of cash money. If you have below, there is no zakat. If you have it and whatever is above it, the zakat is on the whole thing. This is condition number 1. Condition number 2 is that a full lunar cash in your possession. So assumingly I have 5,000 euros in my possession on the first day of Rajab. The following Rajab, and I still have this 5,000 euros, I have to give 2.5% as zakat from it. The biggest problem is that nowadays we have what is known as salaries. So our income and expenditure is variable. And this causes a problem. Why? Because first salary of the month of Muharram, I put it in a wallet. Then the second month is Safar. Then Rabi', the first, the Rabi', the last, Jamad, etc. 12 months. And it's difficult to have 12 wallets and to know exactly where did I take the money from, so that every month corresponding to it from next year, I calculate and give 2.5%. This is difficult. Possible, but really difficult. So what is the solution? What I do, and what the scholars recommend us to do, is to designate a particular date in the lunar calendar. Let's assume it's the 1st of Muharram. This is the day that I was appointed in my job and I got my first salary. And I started saving. So every day on the 1st of Muharram, which I've designated, I calculate whatever cash I have. So I have in my bank account 5,000 euros. I lent some of my relatives 2,000 euros. I have gold bars, 3,000 euros. Bonds in halal companies. I'm investing in stocks, not government bonds. Government bonds are riba based. They're prohibited. I'm talking about stocks of a permissible company. And I'm investing in it, buying and selling. So I calculate this. On the 1st of Muharram, the value, I give 2.5%. If I received 10,000 euros a month ago, am I obliged to give it on the 1st of Muharram? No. But it's best, because I have to keep on track of this amount in the next year, a month before Muharram, which is of Dhul Qa'dah. And there is a possibility that I may forget. So it is best to give it, and it's considered as a charity as well, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. A sister says, I want to know if my husband should attend all gatherings of or picnics in his family without me. Please note that his family does not like me at all, without any valid reason. At first, I used to be among them, but the thing is, they make fun of me. They criticize me by beating around the bush. Me and my husband, we are tired of this. Please clarify the fard of a son towards his parents in this case. Well, to answer your last question, the fard of his parents, fard of the son towards his parents, is to be obedient, respectful, and dutiful. Even if they are bad with you as a wife, even if they abuse you, even if they make fun of you, this does not allow him to be disobedient, disrespectful, or undutiful. You say, Sheikh, but I'm his wife. He said, yes. Yet he is their son. So you and your in-laws don't have anything obligating you to see one another. They are not your kinship. So if you decided not to see them at all, not to visit them, and not to have them visit you, not to boycott them completely, but no strings attached. They don't like my presence, I don't like to see them. So don't go. Let your husband go alone. You do not want him to push you down their throat if they don't like you, as you claim. I'm not addressing the issue all in all, because there is a possibility that you are too sensitive, and if we investigate, we will find that they are not bad people, but you are too sensitive in the way you are dealing with them. But this is not our topic. In short, assuming that they don't really like you and they make fun of you, don't go. Who cares? Stay home, stay with your children, stay alone, do something beneficial. Let your husband go and come back. Let this be a time off for both of you to renew your marriage when you meet again after he comes back, inshallah. As for the sin, there is no sin on you, none whatsoever, if you totally do not go to them or visit them or talk to them. There's no sin because they're not your kinship. However, any sound and smart lady would know that keeping the bare minimum of communication, a phone call every 10 days or a couple of weeks, just to say hi and hang up afterwards immediately, that would be beneficial. Sania says there's this tradition in Pakistan where when a girl gets married, her brothers or uncles hold the Quran over her head while she's being seen off to her husband's house. Is this from the Sunnah? Definitely not. Anyone who claims that this is from the Sunnah or related to the Sunnah or even something that is recommended is asked to provide us an evidence from the Quran or from the Sunnah. Did the Prophet ever do such a thing, sallallahu alaihi wasallam? The answer is no. Did the companions ever do such a thing? May Allah be pleased with them? The answer is definitely no. So if the Prophet didn't do it, the companions didn't do it, who are we to do it? One will say, Sheikh, but it's a blessing. A blessing to hold the Quran over the head of a bride while she's walking until she reaches her husband's house or until he takes her. This is humiliation for the Quran. You're insulting the Quran by using it like an umbrella. So yeah, but we want the barakah. The barakah, the blessing, is not attained by holding the Quran like those ignorant people holding, putting a copy of the Quran in the glove compartment of their car. MashaAllah, tabarakallah, you have a Quran. You read it a lot? She said, no, I never touched it. I never even opened it. Then why are you keeping it in your glove compartment? He said, it's for protection. This is shirk. If you think that the copy of a Quran would protect you physically, this is shirk. Some of them put it under their pillow before they sleep. This is humiliating the Quran. This something that is not respecting the Quran itself by using it for such reasons. So yes, definitely this is wrong and innovation. Ahmed says, I read a hadith which says that hell breathes 2 breaths a year, and that is the reason we see extreme heat during summer and extreme cold during winter. But how can we understand this hadith? Because in some parts of the world, summer and winter are in opposite times of the year. Like, for example, if someone or somewhere is summer, it is winter in Australia. How to reconcile about this hadith? First of all, it is totally wrong for you to try to logic things that are unseen to you, let alone understand the hadith wrongly because of the wrong interpretation, translation, or your understanding. The hadith, is it authentic? Definitely it is authentic. It's agreed upon by Bukhari and Muslim. What does it imply? It simply implies that hellfire complained to Allah Azza wa Jal that it is so extreme that I have eaten my own self. I'm consuming my own self. So Allah Azza wa Jal relieved hell by giving it 2 breaths. And these 2 breaths are a breath in winter, extreme cold, and a breath in summer, extreme heat. This has nothing to do with summer and winter per se, because these are the effect found in summer and winter, not the cause of it. Meaning that not the hellfire breathes, this happens. Rather, it is part of the impact having such breaths throughout the whole year. And we do not know, maybe the breath of heat which comes out of hell is causing the sun to become hot in summer and brings us this heat. And it doesn't also mean that the heat and the cold is happening differently in hell. So one time there is heat and one time there is cold. No, it is simultaneous. It can happen at the same time. Therefore, you should not logic this, and you should accept it as it is, because you didn't see hell. You did not see how it breathes or speaks to Allah Azza wa Jal. So why is it that you're only finding it difficult to believe what the Prophet had told us, ﷺ, simply because we have winter and summer at the same time? A brother says, I hear narrations of the Sahaba and the Salaf praying Qiyam the whole night. When did they sleep, and how did they get the energy to pray all night and still be awake during the day? First of all, they did not pray all night. They prayed most of the night. We know that the way the Prophet used to pray, ﷺ, he used to sleep 1/3 of the night, then pray half of the night, then again sleep 1/6 of the night. This is the way he used to pray. So there is an hour or two or maybe 3 to sleep during the night, which is more than sufficient. Again, the Prophet used to say, Qilu, take your siesta, because devils do not take their siesta. So this 15-minute or half an hour of your siesta during the daytime, this gives you a boost that is energizing the people. Zainab says, I want to ask a question about Zakat al-Fitr. I'm married, so she's living with her parents and her husband is in America. Who is responsible for payment? If the marriage was consummated, her husband is supposed to pay. But if he doesn't know who to pay it to in America, there's no problem in sending the money to them in her country to distribute upon the poor. Abdullah says, is it permissible to work as a dishwasher in a restaurant that sells alcohol and pork without touching it? No. The answer is no. You cannot work in such a restaurant, because inevitably you are collaborating on their core business, which is dishwashing. And you will have to definitely clean the alcohol and the porks and the haram food, and this is not permissible. What about if sweeping the floor in a mall? This is easier, because the impurities found there is not the main job of that mall. It is something that passes by through, like someone putting some wine on your entrance of the house, on the steps of the house, on your porch. There's no problem in wiping it away, because you did not do that. Suha says, how to get rid of envy and jealousy towards others, like your friends and family members. This requires a full lecture, Suha. You have to first be satisfied with what Allah has given you. Looking at others means that you are objecting to Allah's ruling for giving them and not you. Secondly, you are the only one being tormented with this envy and jealousy. Those whom you envy and are jealous with, they're sleeping at night, not bothering about you, and you are the one who's getting sleepless nights. Thirdly, being jealous and envious might lead to Allah Azza wa Jal taking the favors and blessings that you have at the moment for your ingratitude, and you have to be careful. Musa says, can I pray Tahiyyatul Masjid when the Friday khutbah is going on? Definitely. You cannot enter the masjid, whether the khutbah is going on or not, and sit without praying 2 rak'ahs Tahiyyatul Masjid. So you have to pray it before you sit. Finally, Sumaya says, what are the sunnah ways to move into a new house? There aren't so many. First of all, reciting Surah Al-Baqarah once. This expels shayateen, the devils from there. Saying the dua, أعوذ بكلمات الله التامات من شر ما خلق 3 times. Inviting people to al-wakira, or the meal as a form of showing gratitude to Allah Azza wa Jal. So you invite them to food, and this is a part of the customs, and it is also part of the good things to do, among other things, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. This is all the time we have until we meet tomorrow, which will be our last segment, inshallah, for the month of Ramadan in our values. Until we meet you tomorrow, I leave you fi amanillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
قل إنني هداني ربي إلى صراط مستقيم دينا قيما ملة إبراهيم حنيفا وما كان من المشركين